Hi, welcome back to, I think now, episode 7 of this series on creating a virtual console. At the end of the last episode, we ended up with a smiley face in the screen, which I've reworked slightly to be a more vectory one. I think it just looks a bit nicer. Pardon me, you also notice I've got a bit of a cold, so this might be a shorter episode than usual. Well, I sort of keep my brain together long enough to get through it. So, in this episode, and probably the next episode as well, I want to focus on the dev kit. The reason I want to focus on the dev kit is, as the console gets more complicated, working on the assembly will get more complicated, and I want to offset that by improved toolings. I'm a big fan of kind of doing things in a project that accelerate the rest of the project, and doing them as soon as I can, because it compounds over the course of the project. Which this is a hobby project, can kind of do what I want. In a working environment, can sometimes require some persuasion. People want features, customers, rightly pay for features. And if you've got a greenfield project, you're looking at a long road. Sometimes, ideally, you do the features early, but the minimum viable product is not always that minimal, despite what some people will put in agile books. It's not always that minimal. There's the minimal kind of commercially viable product, which people sometimes say, also is even bigger than the minimum viable product, which is something you can kind of give to people. Anyway, if you're focusing on accelerating things first and prioritising accelerating changes, they don't necessarily bring immediate benefit to customers, but they do massively unlock the potential of the team to deliver over the following weeks and months. So I always make sure those things get done when I'm working on a project, that they just pay off in spades. Also, I don't want to sit there being frustrated, bored and annoyed by doing repetitive things or struggling with tools. Frankly, life's too short. So as engineers, I think it's on the engineering team to make those decisions and get those things right. Anyway, that out of the way, we're going to focus on some accelerating features. And this episode was probably going to be a little bit, I think it'll be very interesting. The next 2 episodes, I think, are going to be super exciting. I'm not going to say too much about them, but I think they're really exciting, and they are really interesting beyond just, people are interested in 8-bit console creation. With that said, this episode, we're going to basically expand the debugger. I've never done this before in terms of what we're about to do in Monaco. If you recall our assembler, it was outputting symbol definitions and program counter line map stuff, source maps. So you can tell I've got a cold. It was outputting source maps. And we want to tie that up back to our actual assembly file and let us show where a program counter is in the assembly file, and then also let us put a debugger in there. And we're going to try and get Claude to do this, as we have in previous episodes. Just 1 second. So I just paused there while I sorted something out. I realised I hadn't done something. Pardon me. So we're going to get it to track the program counter and then let us put breakpoints in it. And I say we'll get Claude to do this for us. So as per usual, we are going to create a spec. Debugger part 1. We've got our devkit guide. We've got our devkit guidelines, so we're going to ask it to follow that. If you recall, we put some WebKit guidelines in. Devkit. Source. Here we go. Prompt template. Put a prompt template in. Yes, but actually, before we do the prompt, just something out to mention quickly. I did, after the end of the previous episode, do some review of code and bits and pieces. I've pulled the UI around a little bit, so it's just a little bit neater, as you can see. Obviously, it looks strange zoomed in, but hopefully, like its normal size, it looks a little bit more elegant. If not, it's not exactly a thing of beauty, but it's it's workable. And I also went through the WebKit code, and I recalled when I was going through the code, I came across this when I was looking at the code in the web GPU rendering. Goodness me, dot write buffer. If you remember when we did this, there was an issue with TypeScript types and write buffer, and when we this bit here, getting the memory, we copied it into another array type, and that wasn't because of a problem with write buffer. Write buffer could actually take the memory type. It was an issue with how the types are structured in TypeScript. It didn't really have much cost, but the rendering is going to be quite important, and the time is going to be quite important when we come to do things like vertical blank interrupts and scanline interrupts. So I moved it out so we'd have less interfering with the timing, basically. I really don't think it would have made much difference, but it didn't sit with me right. So we've now used memory directly, but we have to send it through a bit of a cast route to get it in there, just because of how the TypeScripts are like, just because how the types are structured in TypeScript. So yeah, that works. It works perfectly fine. You can see the smiley face working, and it means we don't have to copy frame buffers anymore. I made a few other changes and bits and pieces, but nothing of any great note. No great note really. The icons are from Font Awesome, the free version, and we'll probably use a few more of those as we step through it. In any case, back to the debugger. What do we want to do? Great. So it's not devkit. These files. Blah blah blah. Okay. Okay. So we first want to begin by showing a program counter. I'm going to have it also read. This is going to be a fun episode because my brain really isn't working very well. I probably could have postponed this, but I wanted to get it done because I really want to get on to the next step. It's really exciting. Source, devkit source, application, the editor container. Okay, so I wanted to read this file. Okay, copy path reference, absolute path. And I want it to read the debug view. Copy path reference, absolute path. Okay. When the editor, when the debugger is put, actually want it to read the CPU as well for this to work. So 1 second. Source. Console, source, pardon me, CPU. Okay. CPU is paused. We want to show the current line of code that the program counter is looking at. And I think we're looking at the editor container, which does the assembly. There should be enough here because it gets the it gets this back from here at the assembled artifacts. So if we go to just point at that a second. Yeah, there's a symbol table there, the source map. Type returned by the assembler includes a source map and a symbol map. So hopefully we can use that to find the right location in there. This should be shown in the left margin of Monaco, and use the Font Awesome right icon to do so. Colour that icon in yellow. Let's see if that's enough. It might be enough. And given how my brain isn't working, let's hope it's enough. Okay. Typical autumn cold in the UK. Let's see what this does. I haven't tried this before. This is not something I've done, as I said earlier. I have a rough idea how you kind of, very rough idea how you can kind of put things into the gutters in Monaco, but I don't really know. I think we've done enough prep work, but we can do it very straightforwardly though. So let's see. As per usual, I've created a commit. This is all committed, so I can roll back if it doesn't work. Yeah, as per usual, taking our usual strategy to managing changes. And so on that basis, we can just let it make the changes it needs to make, because we can roll it back. It's doing sensible things so far. This is a bit I don't really know how to do. Say I have some very rough idea. Obviously I can tell we get a program counter. We can get our source map. Although we've not tested our source map, it's worth noting. We can get those things, but yeah, I've not had to do sort of decorations in Monaco before, so I've just kind of come across it as I've been doing other things with Monaco, so yeah, not really seen it. I added the font awesome React package when I did the refactoring and put those icons on the buttons, so that's already in place. Yeah, it probably failed to do this, which is fine because it keeps trying to do that. I need to give it a better instruction, or put in a build colon devkit, which would probably be a good idea because it keeps trying to do this. Yeah, so we need to extend our devkit guidelines to cover how to test a build. That would be a good idea. Because going about it in a, it's having to figure it out every single time at the moment, which slows us down. Okay, well let's have a look. I've no idea if this is going to work. Let us go to our system. Reset. That's our most basic program. So let's assemble that. I should make that the step over as a step over icon. I don't like that icon. I've just decided. Let's go look at our program code in here. Okay, so there it is, but this is not. It's not. There it is. It's there. Look, we assembled it. I hadn't noticed, but it's there. It's not usually the icon I wanted though. I'm not sure what icon that is. I actually meant the right icon, but I'm looking at in my browser that I looked up this morning in Font Awesome, so I'm not sure what that's about. But we can sort that out. But let's see if it follows it. I mean, it's in the right place. That's the start. If we start stepping, great. I mean, that's pretty cool. What took all of 2 minutes. Amazing. Let's see what the code's done, because this is going to be as much of a surprise to me as anybody. What's this about here? Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, and then let's see what it's done. Easiest way to do is probably a git diff, I guess. Show diff. Let's look it down. Okay, so it's setting the source map and the symbol table that we expected. Okay, it looks like it's missed something in there. We'll look at that in a second. Options, glyph margin true. It doesn't seem to have done much. So where's it put the actual glyph? Oh, up, that's why I'm already down. I knew it was a chunk of code. I was like, why is that? My brain is not working, is it? It's not good. Let's see how we get on though. Okay, so I'm going to read this code just in the editor. Now I know it's changed, broadly speaking. Let's have a look. You can see here. Finalize the program counter. So simple enough. Okay, so it just looks through, looking for the entry line. You can probably optimize that so it's not looping, but I'm not really bothered about that for now. It'd be tedious to do on screen as well. And decorations. Okay, so this is already attached to the editor, so it could use decorations if the console's running. Editor is deprecated. Create decorations collection. Let's see if we can get Claude to correct that in a minute. It's okay for now, but I'd rather use the current API. That's something I find quite often with the LLMs, the coding tools running against packages that move fairly quickly. You often find them making suggestions for a sort of version -1, version -2. And that's because that's what they were trained on in terms of, there was no information available about the very latest versions of components. So if you nudge it, they'll often go and look out on the web for the latest information, or you provide them the spec, and they'll get on track, which is what we'll do in a second. With margin class name. I think it's not used it's actually just generated a little SVG icon, or has it dropped the right icon in there from Font Awesome? Okay, so it looks like you can't just use an icon like that in okay, in my head we were going to be able to just take the sort of Font Awesome image and pop it in some sort of div or something. That's not how it works. It looks like you form it up through a CSS class, hence why it's done what it's done, which is fine. I didn't know how it worked, so yeah, cool. Okay, that works. Let's see if we can fix this. I'm going to pick out this. You can always do this. Here we go. This stuff can be a bit of a pain sometimes. Let's see, can I copy the whole thing? No, that's going to take me to a source. We really need like a copy button in here, or I need to find it. That's the doc. Okay, we'll have to do it in 2 parts. Okay, so stop it. Oh, I've exited Claude. That's bad. So I've reset the context window. I meant to press escape. So we'll just point it at, let's do this again, look in, okay, so I've cleared the context window, which is slightly inconvenient because the context it had would have been really helpful. However, it's not the end of the world for something like this. Let's just get our error out again. And if we get the second half with a suggestion of what to use instead. The dangers of coding, or getting an LLM to code on a sickly brain. Not sure if it's more dangerous than using than coding without an LLM and sick. Which is most dangerous? I'm not sure. Okay, so it's moving to this new approach. We're going to add another decoration in a second, so yeah, this doesn't seem like a bad thing to use a collection. As I say, when you're looking at sort of deprecated APIs, it's often just because of the training data, the bulk of what was in the training data, and obviously that's for older API calls. So it's not uncommon, I found, to have to nudge Notice things like this. If you're working with a component that's big and complex, I mean Monaco is big and complex, it's sometimes worth pointing it at the latest component, either with a web link or a pasting in the specs, supplying it with spec. It's doing this previous build because it's lost its context, but it'll figure it out. Okay, just let it do it. That's nice. I think our warnings have gone. Yeah, okay. It still looks like it's going to compile. There's no red. That we still need to address. It thinks there's something missing from there. Okay, it's not really going to hurt that, but we'll add them. Just for snapshot stuff. I found the linter can be a bit over aggressive on those things, and it can also get them wrong. In this case, I don't think it has got them wrong. When I was working on the TypeScript Trek game, I had to be quite particular about what went in there because there was some animation timing stuff, and the linter was adamant things had to be in there that specifically needed not to be in there, although by a strict reading of React they should be, I guess, which is why the linter complains. But hence why you need a human in the loop. I should say as well, the other thing I've sorted out a little bit is I sorted out some of the startup and sync issues. So if we go to our frame, just as an example, if we go to our frame buffer, you can see it's loaded with a test symbol when the console loads. So I sorted out some of the sync issues we were having as well. There was nothing major in it, it was just timing. So I'm going to have to sneeze. Oh, bless me. Pardon me. Oh dear, oh dear. I think my weekend might be ruined. Never mind. More time to work on Virtual Console. Yes, so let's just see if this is working. Let's assemble things. Right, the program counter appears when we assemble it because that loads it into memory, and that will set the program counter to there. So we have a PC set in our source map at that point. But then if we just go back to a nice button to put in here, I think as an addition would be go to program counter or center on program counter. So we'll add something for that as well. I think it'll be really useful. Maybe just click the PC or something. Anyway, we'll sort that out. We've got our glyph. We can step over. Great, that works. Cool. So we've got a working view of where we are in the code. I would have, paid huge money for this back when I was programming my BBC Model B in the early 80s. I didn't have huge money. I had no money. I wasn't even 10 years old. However, if I had money, I would have paid for it. Great. Let us create a little. This is me doing the tweaks. I think I did them last night. Let me just commit that. So we've got a working commit again. We can now current PC in the editor. Good news is we know our source map works as well, so we haven't tested that, but it works. I'm not surprised it works because if the rest of the assembly is working, all we're really doing is saying, this bit of code is on this line and maps to this program counter, which it's tracking to work out all this stuff. So I didn't really expect any issues with it, but you never know. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is go back to our editor. We're going to debugger part 2. We want to, and again, I've not done this before, so to add a breakpoint capability to our devkit. The user should be able to click in the left margin of Monaco to set and unset a breakpoint on a line of code. We need to update the breakpoint program counter mapping each time the program is assembled. we want the CPU to be able to stop on breakpoints. So let's think about how I want this to work. So we've got our CPU. I think ideally we don't want this in the CPU, we want this in the web worker. So if you recall, because we don't want the CPU itself to like get injected with breakpoints, which would be an easy way to do it, but that would be bad. We don't want the CPU. The CPU is the CPU, and we want to keep it fairly very clean. But if you recall, in our console integration, we run in here. So I guess what we need to do in here, this is probably the easiest place to do it actually as well, is in our CPU worker. So let's get this path. We want to, after each step, see if we've hit a breakpoint, and if we've hit a breakpoint, we want to message back to the to our UI thread to tell it that the breakpoint's been hit. So let's do that. In the loop, in the step loop in our web worker. It's hit. It should pause the running the CPU and signal back to the UI that this has occurred. And the UI update its state to reflect the paused situation when we press run. Okay, so that's fine actually. I don't need to have any elaboration. Okay, 1 second. The breakpoint should be shown as the classic. Let's call it a classic red circle in the left margin of Monaco when the program counter is on the same line as the breakpoint. The program counter should appear above the breakpoint. That's probably enough to get a breakpoint running. It's just decided I'm writing a shell script. I love it when code does that. Thanks, code. I love you. Okay, cool. So that's debugger part 2. Let us see what happens. I think that's all we'll need to give it again. Let's start up a new. Oh no, let's start up a new Claude. I'm going to reset this. We're not interested in that again. That context. We're doing phase 2 now. I'll probably continue to the original context, but my little patch context isn't worth continuing with. So we're just going to load that in and let it go. Now I'm just going to check how long I've been talking. Half an hour. Okay, we're doing okay. Let it wear away. Again, I think this is a fairly straightforward change. It's no more complicated than the program counter sync really. But I'm just going to have to pause this for a second while it thinks away, and we'll resume in a second. Break over. I'm back, and it's paused on the first one, so it's no real interruption. Pardon me. Let's let it continue. We created a commit, so we'll let it spin on. But it's maintaining breakpoints in the store, so that's nice, makes sense. Oh, pardon me. To sneeze again in a second. Oh, bless me. Blimey. Again, I don't know what actually looking for a click in the margin of Monaco looks like, so we'll find out. I assume it's going to take the same approach to the glyph. It's going to render the circle in CSS. I guess it might use a CSS trick, the border trick for the circle. No, it's doing an SVG. same as before. Okay, fine. I have no preference really. Sneeze again. Oh goodness. Just what everybody wants to see as a sickly developer trying to write code. I feel mostly fine. I'm all bunged up. That's all. It's just that time of year in the UK. People getting flu, getting COVID, getting colds. You sort of end up with half a workforce every year. It's not that bad, but what can you do? Slightly annoying as I had, I didn't test, but I think I had COVID 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So I got COVID, got a head cold. Great. Looks like it's doing sensible things. You get to hear my illness travails while it does sensible things. Okay, so that's it. Modify the web worker. It's posting a message. Okay, handing a message. And again, just when you've got a larger the bigger the program, the more likely it is to go wrong. But we're probably in the sweet spot at the moment where there's not enough code for it to get particularly lost, so we don't have to really give it too many guardrails. But it's amazing how much better they've got at understanding code and figuring the path through code. But this is often they can do a fair amount of work of this nature for you now. The thing you have to provide them is how do you want it to work, and that needs you to understand the why. And that's where the developer value still comes in my view. Can a completely non-technical person, complete non-developer, write an application of an LLM? Yes, but the longer it goes on, the more it will become, the more difficult it will become, the more complicated it will become, the more likely it is to go wrong, and at some point it will go wrong. At the moment, it's worth noting, I think, for systems like that, where you want non-technical people or less technical people to, people who don't understand system design to write applications, a good approach is to set up a declarative system that the LLM can work within, and the declarative system provides the constraints on the architecture, and the LLM kind of fills things in inside that declarative system. And that I found to be super effective. It's something I've trialed on a real project and I'm using on a real project. It works really well. It was working so well, I actually went and sort of did a bit of research as to have other people found this. And yes, it seems to be quite a common pattern. Letting essentially users do constrained development work by providing a declarative system that the LLM operates within that provides the constraints. We might do something like that at some point in this project. I'm not sure. We'll see. It doesn't seem a natural fit for this project, which is quite low level, but there's always another series we can do. It's just finishing off by the looks of it, checking things build. It looks okay. Great. Okay. Let's see what it's changed. I think it's going to change a bunch. Well, we saw some of it change. The CPU worker. Okay, so it gets a program counter. Fine. It pauses it. Is running false. It posts a breakpoint hit. Otherwise, it's pretty much as was. Okay, great. Okay, this is pretty boilerplatey. Set breakpoints. Okay, a little bridge to this system. Okay, if you recall, virtual console.txt is kind of our bridge between the running CPU and the outside world. It's actually perhaps misnamed now, because originally we had more things in here. It's just kind of like the CPU and memory map, but we'll see. Okay. Okay. That looks fine. It's just handling the breakpoint being hit, really. So in our debug toolbar, what's happening here? So this presumably set breakpoints. I don't know if we start breakpoint addresses. Pause, running. Handle breakpoint hit. So this is update. Okay, so this has been updated so that when the breakpoints hit, the snapshots get updated. Makes sense. And then edges container CS is going to have added our breakpoint. Okay, I bet you can maybe have one glyph the way it's structured. This breakpoint with glyph, breakpoint with the program counter glyph, breakpoint glyph, and the current line glyph. Let's see. We might have to do a bit of work there, depending on precisely how Monaco works, which I'm not 100% clear on, as we talked about. I'm learning this by reading what it does. But it looks sensible. It's updating the breakpoint addresses from the source map when we do an assembly. I mean, it all looks pretty sane. No change to CPU. Good. I didn't want that changing. And this will be the same thing. This will be missing an effect-based, a hook-based. Let's just see what it adds on the end. Didn't we notice it? It'll be missing a hook-based, snapshots. Update breakpoint addresses. Okay, fine. Let's see what's happening and see if it works. And as per usual, we're going to just go to our that's not been assembled yet, so let's assemble it. Okay, program counter. Let's set a breakpoint there. Okay, breakpoint appears. We should be able to press run. Brace for impact. It's not worked. Okay, why has it not worked? I have no idea why it's not worked. Let's have a look. We might do a bit of debugging here. We don't want to NOP it actually. We ought to update this thing because NOP doesn't really. That was in our console demo, which we just threw together very quickly. Let's instead just make this thing go into an infinite loop. That'll just make it essentially jump to itself repeatedly, so it'll just start to spin its wheels. And let's just update that in our default program. Fine. Okay, so we're not. Yeah, so we don't want it. Let's just try syntax highlight me. Okay, cool. Just because we don't want it to. What will happen is it's going to spin on and spin on past there until it hits some memory with some values in that aren't NOPs, and then it'll probably go wrong. So that's just not great. So okay, we've updated that. So why didn't we hit our breakpoint? Let us go to the developer tools, which I will remember to zoom in. Getting better at this. There's our web worker, look. Okay, there's our web worker. Okay. And then let's run it. So there's no breakpoint addresses. Okay, so it's not sending the breakpoint addresses to the web worker, which is why it's not working. So it should be in here. Actually, I didn't look for it. Set breakpoints. Okay, so there is a set breakpoints. Let's just restart things. Okay, so it's getting one to begin with, but I assume it's empty. Yeah, okay, fine, that's just set up. It's going to be empty. This is the hooks firing when it starts. We set a breakpoint, does it get called? No, when we assemble it. It should call them when they're assembled, because then they've got the program counters in it. So when we assemble it, that's when we'd hope to see this called. Okay, so that's the set of addresses that it's going to break on. So spin it on. Still got our breakpoint there. Still got our breakpoint. Oh, take that. I didn't mean to take that off. Let's leave that there in case someone clears it out. Okay, let us go to this. Press play. It's there. It looks like it might be a sync issue. Okay, because it's not going to stop. It won't stop yet though. Let's see if it stops. Okay, so take the breakpoint. It was like some sort of sync issue, or did I assemble it then set the breakpoint? I bet I assembled it then set the breakpoint. Yeah. So, and I didn't tell it to do that. I told it to set the breakpoint addresses when it's assembled. But if we've already assembled it and the program is in motion, we also need to set the breakpoint. We need to set the breakpoint addresses. Okay, fine. You see what I mean? If you assemble a program, yes, the flow that we've done here is assemble program, set breakpoint, run program, and when we assemble a program, it's setting the breakpoint addresses in the CPU worker, so they get found. And I assume it's going to stop now. If we go back to our IDE, yeah, it stopped. Look, and there's the glyph. But the way I did it the first time was I assembled it, then I set the breakpoint, and that breakpoint doesn't get the address set until until go on, engage brain James. That breakpoint address doesn't get set until I assemble it again, which is not what we want. So also we want to make it set breakpoint addresses on assembled programs as they are set. The other thing we might want to do is, obviously if you change the code and it's assembled, and you've got breakpoints, that's going to change the source mapping, so we might want to put a warning up about that too. Yeah, we'll just flash a little warning up at the top if that happens. But yeah, you can see we've hit our breakpoint, which is pretty cool. Okay, we had a slight glitch because I told it to do something specific, which is the right thing to do, but I missed a case. I missed a use case. And again, I was rambling about why you need developers. I was just checking I was actually recording. I was rambling about why you needed developers, and why developers still has a part to play in this. You need to understand these things and be able to read the code, go into the code, even if you're leaning heavily on an LM to generate the code to diagnose these issues. You have to be able to think about these things and think them through. And to me, that is actually the what's at the core of a good developer. It's not the ability to mechanically churn out code, it's to think about systems, reason about problems, translate kind of user things into designs. That's the real value to me that developers bring, because I've been walking up the abstraction chain all my career, and before my career we started walking, punch cards onwards, we've been walking up the abstraction chain. What hasn't changed is the ability to translate human things into these logical constructs, and that's where the value still lies. Right, so we need to fix this. We need to get to fix this, and we will get to fix it now. Okay, let's just do a new window. We need to update our solution so that when a breakpoint is set after assembly, has occurred that that breakpoint address is updated and stops on it. We should also flash up a warning when source code is changed, program is assembled, when the source code is changed and breakpoints are set. When specifically when do we want this to occur? So we want it to flash up when when the source is changed and the program isn't yet assembled and breakpoints are set. So when the source is changed post-assembly. So when the source code is changed post-assembly and breakpoints are set, we just need to warn that the breakpoint addresses are no longer valid, and you need to assemble again. When the source code is changed, breakpoint set. Okay, we've got the existing context in Claude, so I'm hoping I can just paste this in. What I am going to do is, as the basic breakpoint system is working, I'm just going to commit that. So I've got a reset point. I'll push that up to our repo, and then I will ask Claude to make those changes. Whew. I'm not sure I've worded that warning thing very well. This is running like it's refreshed, it's running. Let's just go back to Claude, we don't want that to be going on. I'm not sure I've worded that warning that well. My foggy brain is not helping with the core skill of a developer I was just talking about. Oh, I've got a busy day today as well. What could possibly go wrong? Let's stay away from any live systems, I think. Okay, so it's doing the warning we asked for. You right, Rafi? Hello, mate. Okay, that's done. Okay, let's have a quick look at it. I'm just going to dive in and look at if it's working first. I'm going to cancel that out so we know what's happening. Make sure things are running. Right, assemble the program, set the breakpoint, and then press run. Okay, I worked that time. Let's hit the breakpoint, look. So that's what we expect. I need to make it also when you press enter go to the address. But yeah, there we go. So we can set breakpoints. See if that works. It should just go to there. Oh, it's going to loop through here a number of times. Let's remove the breakpoint. Okay, then it'll just stay there because it's going to loop and loop and loop and loop and loop. That's great. Now does our warning. Great, we've got a warning. Not the prettiest of warnings. I'll tidy that offline. Reassemble. It goes. Okay, well we've kind of got what we wanted, which is great. And I think that's good going. We've got breakpoints. We've got a program countersynced with our source code. We're getting a decent developer experience in our assembly editor now, which I think is pretty cool, really. Honestly, I wish I'd had these tools. When I was writing stuff. So we've got a little bit of time left. If we, given episodes are normally an hour, so let us just commit that. As per usual, what I'll do is we've flicked through the code. I will have a review as I do offline and come back with any notable changes I make. Keep taking that pattern. I don't think you will need to sit here and watch me silently scrutinising code. That's pretty boring. Breakpoint fixes. Okay, so we're just going to do a slight change on it now, which is get this margin coloured slightly differently because it's I can't see where to click for breakpoints. So can we slightly lighten the colour of the margin in Monaco so it's more obvious where to click to set breakpoints. Doesn't look changed to me. It's not changed, look. Okay, so what's it changed? It's added a bit of CSS. It's definitely not changed. Let's have another go. The colour has not changed. See what it does. Hilarious, we've done all this complicated code, we've got the LM to do all this complicated code, and that's all worked really well, but then changing the colour it goes wrong. I love it, that's really funny. That's real funny. Oh my goodness, no, stop that. What is it doing? Let's go into it. It's done what we wanted, but it's gone too far. Let's go into here and it has changed. That's interesting, isn't it? So let it continue. Maybe I just need to let it continue. It's not quite finished. It's continue. Let it continue. What I'll do if you change let it go again. I've probably been a little. I may have been a little bit. My lack of Monaco knowledge is tripping me up here, I think. Or at least this sort of theming of Monaco knowledge. Okay, so that's not worked either. Let us just go back to Monaco then. Maybe I was right to stop this thing from doing that. Base VS dark. So it looks right, doesn't it? I definitely don't want to see any light themes in this system. Okay. Keep dark background, that's weird. So it's removed it and we have a slightly lighter gutter. Has it managed it this time? What's changed? Let's let it finish rather than me racing ahead. It's back to doing it in CSS, which feels the right place to do it to me. I don't think it needs to be a whole theme. Not that I know Monaco very well, but you can see how Monaco is arranging its CSS. It looks, patently sort of overrideable. Okay, I'm going to just do a couple of changes because I think it's gone too far. Margin view overlays. What if we take that out? That's what we want, look. So I don't even actually want to update the actual whole margin, just the glyph margin. Right. Let me just get, I want it slightly dark as well. Let me get these things to just get the tailwind colour. So just in my browser I'm just getting the tailwind colour out. Zinc, and we want, let's try zinc. A different zinc. That's a darker zinc colour from oh, it's gone darker. Do we prefer it darker or slightly lighter? Actually, I think I prefer it like that. I'm really not a UI person. I work with a great UI person. I work with a couple of great UI people, which is fantastic because I'll roll out some POC sometimes, and it looks like I'm okay at UI, but I'm not as good as an actual UI person. They can make things really sing. I'm always impressed. Great. We've got a slightly darker left margin now. Great. Had to correct a couple of mistakes that it was making. It's amazing, really, isn't it? We were able to sort of introduce breakpoints and track the program counter in our editor, all fine, and then we say just make the margin slightly lighter, and it goes wrong. Yeah, fascinating. Okay, so I want one more thing to do. I want to add a center to program counter in here. so in here, I'm just going to commit this. So we've got a breakpoint. Send it to program counter. No, left margin in Monaco. Make clear. Push that up. Okay, and then I want to add so into the debug toolbar. So what it looks like. Yeah, so that's into the debug toolbar. See, I added the font awesome stuff. Let's put flex gap for item center. I'm just going to write a bit of code, so I think it's going to be easy to essentially give it a bit of a leg up here in terms of exactly what I want. Put that there, introduce this outer flex, and then over on the right here. So that's not on the right, but we've got a button on the right. I want it to be, I want the icon to be, I found an icon, let me just find it, FA-crosshairs, which hopefully is in the free version. It is, okay. That's fine, I think that one's okay. Yeah, what are the other imports on? Yeah, fine, okay, great. So we've put that in there. So what I want this to do is, I'm going to take the on click. Let's grab that. Actually, before that, grab that, copy path reference, absolute path. Go back to chord. And then what I want to do basically is when you press that crosshairs button, I want to center the memory view or bring the memory view, it's basically center the memory view on the current program counter, so we can go very easily. When clicked, I want to update the memory snapshot so that it is centered on the program counter. We should take care to 8-byte align the view. We don't want it hopping around. You know, it has to stay 8-byte aligned. So it'll look a bit weird. The button should be disabled when the program is running, because it's not, you know, it's just going to, no, it doesn't have to be, it's just be the last view of a PC. We'll let that, it's just, well, so I was going to say the button should be disabled when the program is running, but actually, because the program counter won't really be updated until we pause things in the debugger, but you still might want to set it back to the program counter as was, so I'm going to let it stay, not disable it. Respects the bound memory. Oh, I think Rafi's having a dream. She's gone downstairs, but I heard a little woof. Okay, this is the last change we're going to make in this episode. I think we've got to about an hour, which is what I kind of aim for, and hopefully that, you know, we've made a bunch of useful improvements to the dev kit, again fairly quickly, within an hour, and I think they will help us, you know, develop more complex assembly programs as we move forward. Next episode, I think we'll look at introducing the vertical blanking signal, so the interrupt that will fire when we get to the end of a render frame, and then will be about, I think it's about 50,000 CPU cycles until rendering starts again. And that's how you would avoid flicker. You know, you'd in games, in animation, we may or may not at the same time also introduce a frame, 2 frame buffers, so we can switch between frame buffers, which again can help eliminate flicker. Let's see what's happening in our application now. Let's assemble, press run. Okay, it's centered, but it's not scrolled down, which I expected that. So let me just go back to Claude. That works. Can we also adjust the scroll position to ensure that the counter is visible after positioning the memory view. One thing I was going to check, if I move this on, if I skip that, well, that's no longer byte aligned. That's no longer 8-byte aligned. B80 is 8-byte aligned. If I just press the crosshairs button now, we should still find it's these values in the left. It is. What we didn't want to happen was that become like B84 or B83 rather, become a probe counter here. That would have been bad, but it's honouring our 8-byte alignment request, which is good. But we just want to update the scroll position so it brings it into view, which generally will be 50%, but not always. Obviously, if a probe counter is towards the top, it will not be 50%, and we might give that a quick go in the test. Yeah, and if we do the VBank stuff, we'll do a little bit of animation, perhaps a little assembly program animation to show, to show it working, and we could run the same thing with and without the VBank, and see what happens. This is one of those things again that goes horribly wrong. A simple seeming request compared to some of the other things I've asked it to do. Poor me. Oh, it's cold. Head cold's always get in my left ear for some reason, and it kind of closes up. Apparently I have very narrow ear canals, an ear person told me once. So I get a little bit of bunged up and swelling in my head, and my ear closes up. It's horrible. Nothing but more coffee can't fix. Okay, let's see what's happened. It has apparently done its thing. Let's assemble our program, position the counter. Great. Okay, now, but what if I put this toward the start of memory? So if I was to position this at like 0, 10, assemble. Assemble doesn't wipe the memory, it just reloads it, which is why I still see the program here. We probably want a wipe memory button as well, but we won't do that this episode. Well, it won't be wipe memory, reset console button. I'm resetting it by, refreshing my browser. Okay, let's press it, see what happens. Great, that works. Great, we get our browser view, and interesting, I've just noticed that it's not showing the last 8 bytes there. I'm not going to fix that this episode, I don't think, just because, yeah, we're not seeing it's only showing 4. Interesting. Let's see if we can fix it. Let's refresh it. These things, by the way, that's the things like the palettes and stuff being preloaded when the console starts up now. So that's what they are. That's why it's got some data there. And also, I've not reviewed any of this. I'll review it, off camera, as it were. I'll go through this stuff and make sure it's sensible. It's fairly straightforward React code. So if it's compiling, my suspicion is it's fine. Again, the bigger the program and the bigger components are, the more likely there are to be problems, in my experience. It's interesting. I think one of the things I've noticed is working with LLMs to generate code and work on programs takes you down a path of making things small because they work better on small things. And there's reasons for that, which we can talk about perhaps in a future episode. But it's interesting to think about the influence they have on architecture. I found that really fascinating. How tools architecture can interact and shape each other is really fascinating. And LLMs are such a big change in how you work that there's a really observable, in my view, a really observable change in how architecture is influenced by the tools. Cool. So let's fix that. We've got 8 bytes showing at the end. All looks good. Let's just recompile it. Let's assemble it. Great. Looks good. That's it for this episode. Hope that was interesting. We've got a pretty cool, I think, system, debugger, program counter, memory viewer has improved. I think it's looking pretty good. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.